Oh boy.
Wait. The opportunity cost of moving is substantial. Wait, whoa. You don't know anything about me. Then respond to the fucking arguments rather than characterizing what I have to say. These are huge institutional barriers that you don't give a fuck about because you're so triggered by the left. Nope. You haven't made a single counter argument to my point. I know you're really fucking mad that you're getting talked down to right now. Holy shit, dude. He is really mad. Nobody said this. Why is everything out of your mouth a straw man?
No.
Nobody's saying it's impossible to move, Destiny. Why do you keep arguing against the straw man? Nobody said. Why do you keep saying impossible? Why do you keep doing that?
I'm saying you can't find a new job.
No, whether or not it's easier. Whether or not. Wait. You actually did advocate for people to kill themselves. So
the only time I said that was when somebody said it's impossible to find.
Wait, dude. What? Wait. I sincerely want to know. He's just really mad. What do you think I did before doing YouTube?
What?
You started doing streaming younger than I started doing streaming. Why are you talking down to me with my real life job experience?
I quit school because mommy and daddy didn't pay for my education because I worked on my entire
I worked for 2 years before school so I could pay my way through it, and I worked during school. I'm pretty sure I've had more jobs than you before getting into streaming. Why are you so insistent on attacking my character?
Oh yeah, just he's so fucking stupid and horrible.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, so I did not expect to debate fucking Destiny today. I do want to say one thing though. I do want to say one thing that I'm very happy about. I am so glad that I actually, I'll take credit for this. I am so fucking glad that I called him on the college kid thing, whatever. Because Destiny started streaming around 21 or 22. I started streaming at 25. And I had worked jobs through college, and I've probably worked more jobs than he has in total. You know, so I was so glad I got to call him on that, because it really pisses me off when people like shit talk me for that. Like, my parents did help me, of course, but that doesn't mean like I didn't like hold myself down. I like actively rejected money from my folks several times, even when I thought I could go homeless.
Oh no! This is I don't know why that weird intro was there, but that's you're not going to be watching the Serfs. No, I'm Lawrence of the Serfs. Welcome to the Serfs. The Serfs is a variety show on the YouTubes. We do a whole bunch of different things. We talk about sugar extracts, the parsing of sugar to milk, things of this nature. So welcome everybody. Welcome to the Serfs. Today we have quite a fun show for you today. Yes, we're going to be watching the Vaush versus Destiny debate live. In person. Now, hopefully, I'm guessing they're going to experience some kind of social distancing. I'm hoping that happens, but there's no real way of knowing. Everybody. Chancellor Levitt, hello. Santi Zior, hello. Quirtery, hello. Kenny Fearson, hello. Average O, hello. Jerry V, hello. None Superior, hello. Jitcast, hello. Ebix Love, hello. Comrade DeQuack, hello. Mike Dirks, hello. Thaddeus Ghostal, hello. I guess I'm going to have to do this for a while because there's like 209 people watching, so it'll take me a while to do this. Watch All Gas No Breaks. I don't know who you are, Winston. I can't possibly answer that. Lance from the Serfs talks about this guy all the time. He has a crush on him. Take away some fucking badges. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is Lance. I'm going to be, oh shit, this has nothing to do with a show you may have been watching. So let's do Destiny versus Vaush. This is the third time these two have debated. And you'll also have to forgive me. It'll take me a second to get the YouTube chats in the corner working. But hey, everybody, it's good to see you. Welcome everyone. So yes, we're going to be doing the Destiny versus Vaush debate. That's happening in about 9 minutes. We have a little bit of time for All Gas No Breaks. I kind of want to watch All Gas No Breaks afterwards as let's just say as a palate cleanser, a cleansing of the palate. Some might say. This could start at any time, though. Destiny versus Vaush in person. Wow. Yeah. So this is going to be exciting, everyone. You know, we're going to see some things. We're going to do some things. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry, and we're going to grow old together. That's kind of. I think that's the plan, right? I guess I can't full screen it yet. Winston, the fourth time. Oh, absolutely. So, everybody, what are we going to be expecting today? What is the debate going to be like? I'm guessing, ideally, it's going to be with a little bit of distance, with some social distancing between the two of them. We can't watch Vaush on Twitch. You cannot. Vaush is banned from Twitch for all time. He said the bad thing. He basically, I believe, said that he wanted to bomb Israel or something to that effect. I think Vaush said he wanted to bomb Israel off the map, maybe something like that. He said something that was pretty incendiary. It was definitely a heated gamer moment, to say the least. It was a heated Hitler moment. But you won't be able to watch Vaush on Twitch anymore. That's why the Serfs is going to be bringing you this debate live here on the YouTubes. So it's good to be here, everybody. It's good to see all y'all. Welcome. Some of you might know me from nothing else. I've never done anything else. I'm only Lance of the Serfs. But yes, hopefully there's some Coomers in here. Hopefully there's some other styles of people. He's like permanently banned from Twitch. Yes, he is banned for all times. He said America should bomb Israel. Yeah, that sounds like what he would say. Snarky. Good to see you on the other side, though. Vaush was correct. Whoa. At least he didn't say the N-word. This is true. Not like that debate. I don't know if everyone watched the debate that Vaush had a couple days ago. If you want to call it a debate with, the drunken peasants and the Nazi. It was a debate with the Nazi. So that was the thing that was happening. Which is, of course, yeah, a little bit problematic. So everybody, welcome. It's good to see all y'all. Welcome to the show. I am not entirely sure how I get YouTube chat in the corner here. Let me see if there's an easy way to do that. Browser source. Those are donation goals. I'm not plugged into the ether. So that means anything when it comes to Vaush that we can't watch on Twitch. That is correct. You can't even play video of Vaush on Twitch. Oh, I have to do it through Streamlabs. All right, hold on one second. Let me log in through Stream. I'll get you on the screen. Don't worry, chat. I got you, all right? I know you want to be seen and heard, and I'm here for it. All right, all widgets. Alert box. Chat box. Oh, I'm so close. Let's get this information here. All right. And now, with said information, I can plug it into my browser source. Soon you will have a voice chat. I'm not going to be like Ursula. I'm going to give you your voice back. YouTube chat. Sure. Oh, look at that. You have a voice. You're back. Look at you. Now all the horrible things you say will be here on the screen for all to see. Let me just move you down a little bit. And let me see if I can get an alert box going too. Oh man, this is getting so fancy. So fancy, so fast. Alright, now let's add that alert box. Browser source. YouTube alerts. Nice. Alright, we're fancy. We're fancy again in here. We're looking good, chat. We're looking fancy and good. And now, while we wait, allow me to answer all of your prescient questions that I know that you must have about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is the saying? I'm cooming. Boobies. What's up, gamers? Oh gosh, pineapple on pizza is actually really good. Yeah, pineapple on pizza is good. Who says otherwise? Who has been saying otherwise? Shame on them. Shame on anyone who thinks the other. Pineapple on pizza is delicious. Hey everyone, by the way, these are strange times right now. What I would absolutely recommend everyone do in these strange times, of course. And we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House! Yeah! It's just that. That's what everyone should be doing. You know, strange times had by all. Whenever this happens, just remember. Take back the White House! Yeah! That's all you need to know. That's what you can do. Hey, Theory Plebe, good to see ya, everybody. Are you hosting this debate? Well, I'm hosting a version of it. Let's just say that. We will see what happens. I'm very excited for this debate. I know some people don't like Destiny, some people don't like Vaush. I seem to think that Vaush is probably the debate lord of the left. We don't really have anyone who's out there who's converting more normies on a regular basis than Vaush. So I want to see Vaush yet again do very well for the leftism. I know I'm not being very eloquent in my speech right now. I'm not used to broadcasting on YouTube. It's a different world. So all I can say is welcome everybody. Hey, can I just do a public service announcement very quickly to everyone who's watching this? Can you please engage in social distancing? So, you know, do what you got to do. Just keep a little bit of a little bit of distance in between you. Ideally, just, you know, isolate yourselves at home for a little bit. I think it's probably the best way to go about. The debate is starting in exactly 3 minutes. 3 minutes, I think. Let's see. I had it open in one of the. I got too many tabs open right now. I know. Oh, see, I can't play copyright music. I'm not going to even try that. 1 minute! My word. We are 1 minute away. That's right. This is happening right now. 1 minute, everybody, until the blood sport of blood sports. It's going to be a wild and exciting time. Thank you for watching the Serfs, by the way. I am, of course, Lorne, one lank of the Lirps. So it's good to see all y'all. Welcome to the show. We're going to have a fun time. It's going to be a fun time. I think we're going to have a good time. YouTube alerts. Let me just turn the volume down just in case. I don't know if they're going to be very loud. I don't really get a lot of subscribers to the Serfs channel anymore. I don't know what happened, but you know, yeah, social distancing, that would be good too. Are you telling me to quit my job, you fucking commie? Oh, damn, you spicy YouTube chat. You're spicy. I like it. I like the spice. Yeah, this is going to be a modern day debate, to say the least. It's going to be a wild time. It's going to be, I'm distancing myself from your chat. Good job, John Garrison. I have 2 of these videos. You just showed it. Open my tabs. I guess so. I got radicalized. I'm doing good. All things considered, I'm doing pretty good, you know? I think right now the United States is pretty much engaged in the act of mass contaminating its citizens. I think right now the fact that the DNC is telling everybody you have to go vote. Florida, go vote. If you don't vote, you're not doing patriotism. And at the same time, the rest of the world is like, we should all be self-isolating and quarantining ourselves because that's the only way to really curb the spread of this disease. So it's unusual to me. It makes sense to me because after all, they would prefer Joe Biden get elected than they would everyone be alive. Before I was saying that they would prefer Joe Biden being elected to Donald Trump staying in power because I think they knew that Donald Trump would have a very good chance of beating someone who isn't sentient, who isn't actually speaking English. So that was the thing. But now it seems more to the point that I think they're more concerned with everyone dying. That's basically it. So yeah, read my donation, please. Sorry, I hadn't even noticed at first. Why do you think Sal from Impractical? Why do you look like Sal from Impractical Jokers? I don't know. I've been told I look a lot like the corpse of Brendan Fraser, or maybe the embalmed corpse of Brendan Fraser. But thank you very much for the $1.99 donation, Al Introvert 44. I'm going to be diligent, by the way. If you want me to answer questions immediately, yes, I will answer all super chats. I lost my job, so this is my full-time job now, so I will be accepting all super chats graciously and say thank you very, very much for your donations. They help fuel and funnel my strange. So thank you very much. The film and television industry is gone. It exists no more. 30,000 jobs are deleted from existence in Vancouver, and the same thing will probably be following suit for everybody else. It's eventual. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen rapidly. So here we are, everybody. This is the strange dystopian hellscape we find ourselves in. I can see Brandon Fraser. Yeah, that's true, right? That is true. It is weird that the people who are going to be the most affected by this virus are the ones who are being told to go out and vote in droves. The DNC doesn't care. Yeah, everyone lost their jobs, though, Uber Comrade. Everyone lost their jobs in Vancouver. If you happen to be working in the film industry, your jobs are gone. The entire industry is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I do. I live in Vancouver. Are there any Australians on Left Tube, Red Tube, or do we need to take the mantle of the Aussie bread tubers? There are. The big ones include, for New Zealander, Kiwis, and Aussies, I think the biggest one is probably Goosh and Gang. There's also Drop the Lime is a pretty big Aussie who's doing it. Who else does anyone know who's up there? If you're ever approached by the devil Liz Hurley, at least make better wishes. Well, no, not time to eat the rich, unfortunately. The rich are going to get you sick. You see, if you take the rich and you put them in your mouth right now, they could have coronavirus and they could get you ill. The thing is, if you're young, you probably won't die from the coronavirus. I think 98% of everyone, which is the majority of the people watching this, are going to be totally fine. But in the meantime, they really don't care. They're just going to push it on us. The DNC does not care whatsoever. Oh yeah, Bad Empanada. I always think of Bad Empanada as an Argentinian, but he's not. He's not at all. He's an Australian. You're one of those scab Canadian film guys? What the fuck, Lawrence? I'm not a scab. I was working for a company as a shitty VFX slave for most of my life. I'm one of the people who you were probably reading about when the crunch would come around, who would have to work incredibly long hours and be promised overtime and pay and not receive any of that. I actually had to sue one of my former employers to try and get back tens of thousands of dollars that they ended up not paying a whole bunch of us when they basically shut the company down afterwards. Any super shot? What's your social security number? John Garrison. How dare you? It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever you believe it should be. That's all I'm saying. I'm a millennial though. It's not that bad. Yeah, I'm a millennial too. Kevin Durant has corona. A whole bunch of people do. Kevin Durant has it. Idris Elba has it. He came out today. Idris Elba has it and he's not showing any signs, but he's still being good and saying, by the way, everybody, stay safe, stay clean, stay well. But thank you, John Garrison. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. I did not work on cats. No, I did not. Extremely Online Left is also an Australian, I'm pretty sure. Oh, cool. Extremely Online Left is dope. I'm a big fan. Hello from Brazil. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. So yeah, this is ideally going to be starting very soon. We're supposed to start at 3. The gladiators are 5 minutes late. If anyone has an update in relation to this, I'm pretty sure that they're still going to start relatively soon though. Howdy gang. They can't afford to get tested. 2020 is already breaking the record for the worst year in the new millennia. Wasn't 2020 grand, everybody? Hey, I'm just going to go on a quick rant because we're still waiting for everybody. But hey, I'm going to say this. Do you remember at the start of the year where it was like, wow, good riddance to 2019. We're done with 2019. 2019 was the poo-poo and the pee-pee, and we want 2020. 2020 is going to be great. And then 2020 started, and it was like, oh, we're going to war with Iran. Yeah, we're just going to bomb one of the most powerful generals in the country, the second most powerful individual in the country. We're just going to kill him, and then we'll see what happens with that. And then everyone was like, holy shit, we're going to war with Iran. Oh, did I mention, by the way, Australia is gone. Yeah, Australia burnt down. Australia used to exist, but now it's on fire perpetually. It's just always going to be on fire because that's the world we live in now. So that's happening. And then afterwards, it was like, oh, by the way, there's this thing in China called the coronavirus, and it seems to be spreading. We're not entirely sure, but do you remember like SARS and Ebola? Yeah, just don't really think about it. It's not going to be a big deal. But you know what? It could reach other countries. We'll see. And then now it's like, hey, by the way, society is going to shut down. All of it. All the things that you thought you knew about society, all the things that we hold dear, they're just going to stop. We're going to stop. Now, hopefully, a lot of you have jobs that you can work from home. Because if you don't, oh yeah, there's that tricky thing, right? Because you still need money to pay rent, and you still need money to buy food. So go home and don't infect anyone else, because that's the only way that we've been proven that other countries have done to get over this little curve that we see. But at the same time, go home, do what you do, and hopefully everything will work out. And don't think about the rent. Don't think about the rent and the payments and all that kind of stuff. But, you do you. Oh, and what's this? Oh, the Republicans don't believe in it. Oh, they think it's part of some massive Chinese conspiracy. Oh, the worse things get, the less Republicans believe in it. It's dropped from 70% to 40%. Well, this is interesting. This was a development I didn't see coming. Well, here we are. 2020, everybody. This is the new normal. This is the world we see ourselves in. The Amazon burnt down too. Oh yes. Sorry. How can I forget that? The Amazon. Yeah. Let's not forget about the Amazon. I mean, that was the only good thing about this. So it's like, oh, Jair Bolsonaro caught the coronavirus. Well, at least that'll slow down some of the horrible things that are going on the earth. But then it turns out he might not have it. I mean, come on, the one person who should have it. Never get the indigenous Americans in the Amazon. Yeah. Can't forget that. Can't forget the fact that they're burning down the Amazon and people don't believe that it's actually being burnt down. Instead, they're like, oh, this is just normal. This happens every year. Don't think about it. And at the same time, it has nothing to do with the fact that we're trying to do a massive expansion for cattle grazing because we need more meat. That's one thing the planet needs right now. It's heating up very rapidly, but we need more meat. Meat is important. We need a whole bunch more of that. So let's be okay with that. Oh, I almost forgot about the coup in Bolivia, which now luckily everyone has come to terms with the fact that yes, it was in fact a coup. It was absolutely a coup, and yeah, that's just what they did. They overtook Evo Morales, and then they ran over his dog with a tank, and then they firebombed his sister's house, and then he had to flee the country. It has nothing to do at all with the coup, though. Don't think about it. It's not the CIA. None of that's real. That's just the world we find ourselves in. 2020. 2020, the year of our Lord. By the way, the government of British Columbia has put this out, and so this is maybe information that I think everyone should have for their own home use. So I'm just going to take advantage of my platform while we wait for this to happen. And Renegade Cut reviewed Sonic the Hedgehog. I can't forget about that, Winston. All the horrible things that could ever happen have happened. So by the way, everybody, who should be tested for COVID-19? People with respiratory symptoms or people who are hospitalized, healthcare workers, residents or long-term care facilities, part of the investigation or cluster of the outbreak. Who does not need to be tested for COVID-19? People without symptoms, patient with mild respiratory problems who can be managed at home, including returning travelers from an onset of the illness, 14 days of returning to Canada. Because the odds are, again, if you're under 50 or 60, you're probably going to be able to recover from this, as is the statistics. Yes, there is outliers. They're horrifyingly scary, and they're obviously outliers. They're very, very frightening. But at the same time, oh yes, well, Jeffrey Epstein was, hey, I'm being all gloomer right now, which is weird because I'm not normally a gloomer. But can I say one thing, everybody? Because I don't normally do the doomer vision. But there is some good news. Chelsea Manning's free. So fuck yeah, Chelsea Manning is out of prison, and Chelsea Manning got all of her expenses paid as well. The $250,000, the government was like, yeah, we're going to bankrupt you into oblivion. Nope, no you're not. Everyone came together and they're like, we're not going to stand for this. Chelsea Manning is free. So that is pretty fucking fantastic. So let's all celebrate and be happy about that. That is one good thing. All right, everybody, we should be happy about that. There's rumors of a 2-hour debate delay, apparently. Seriously? Oh man, I hadn't prepared for this. What are we supposed to do then? We're supposed to just I don't know. But anyways, people without symptoms and people that don't have respiratory problems should not be submitting themselves. If you have severe experience, difficulty breathing, struggling to breathe or speaking English in single words, severe chest pain, having a hard time walking, feeling confused, losing consciousness, then yes, okay, you should be assessing yourself and worrying about it. That's basically what the government of BC is saying right now. Chelsea Manning is a fucking hero. Agreed. Well, I don't know what to say. If this is going to start in 2 hours, I'll probably move on to doing some newsy stuff for the day. And I obviously want to reach all of you lovely people. All 500 of you watching right now probably are here for the Vaush, but we can take some time to debate. The debate officially got postponed for another 2 hours. Seriously, 2 hours? Wow. Well, that's terrible. Hey, I guess while you're all here, why don't we watch All Gas No Breaks, have a laugh together, and then we can assess some things in person. I'm gonna guess, I won't lie, this debate might not even happen because they should maybe be, I don't know, doing social distancing. Maybe they should just do the debate on in another format. I don't know. Okay, let's listen to Orbum for 2 seconds while I get All Gas No Breaks ready.
Hi everybody, I'm talking to you from the middle of the coronavirus experience. So let's go over some of the principles that make an experience like this much easier. Our goal is that this is not only survivable, but thrivable, and I'll explain to you what I mean.
I'm so happy for Orbum. Like, it's not a pandemic, it's an experience. We're experiencing this together, that is true. So technically it's an experience. And it's not only survivable, it's thrivable. I love you, Orbummy. Never change. Never change.
First of all, we all know this. We're not always in...
Modern Day Debate said they're almost there. They're just unusually late. Cool. Well, I mean, I've got it open. As soon as it starts, I will switch right over to the debate. In the meantime, I'm just going to listen to Orbummy for a little bit because she's telling us the stuff we need to survive.
Control of our circumstances. But what we are in control of is who we choose to be in the space of the experience. And that matters because that will ultimately affect what the experience is for us. This whole idea of being told you're just going to have to stay home for a while where do we go with that? What do we do with that? Particularly when there is so much fear and even borderline, if not full-on panic, that so many people are feeling at this time. Think about a war. Think about how there's the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. Now that is, it's interesting how the patterns of nature mimic themselves in different levels, because this is very akin to the integrative approach to healing. The Army is the ground troops. The Navy is that which is underneath the surface, and then the Air Force is that which is the spirit above. So what are the ground troops here? The doctors and
The Air Force is the spirit above. I've never heard a single human being on the planet call the Air Force the spirit above. Not even the Air Force would refer to it as that. They would be like, well, that's pleasant pageantry. I guess we'll enjoy that. Sure, let's take it for what it is. The debate is not happening. Apparently it is happening. I'm hearing mixed messages back and forth, but let's see what the chat is saying here. Ooh, they're feisty. Who is the good one? Vaush or Destiny? You should probably be coming into this with some knowledge of who the two people are. I don't understand why else you'd be interested in that.
the nurses and the scientists. And let's just take a moment to, we talk about send good wishes, pray for the troops, God bless the troops. Wow. Just take a moment to think about all of the doctors and nurses, some of whom in certain places have lost their lives.
I'm not even make fun of this. This is fucking so true. I love you, Orbum. Keep going. Orbum for president. We made a mistake. We made a huge mistake. We should have gone with Orbum, and I regret that now.
But who all over the world right now are sacrificing, are
Modern day
placing
debates are in the
themselves
same room on the
in
stream.
service
Nice. All right.
at known risk all over the world. And I consider also ground troops, the people who work.
Radical reviewer, I don't know. I am not on the inside scoop of this. I just wanted to make a cozy space for everyone to hang out and enjoy some leftist theory, because I think Vaush is about to go full beast mode, and I want to be here for it. I want to be here for that beast mode, so I'm preparing my body in the beastliest of ways. You know what, actually? I should have... This is probably the wrong room for it. Should we do... What room do you think is better, everybody? Should we do this room? This is the QAnon room. This is where all the secrets of the universe get revealed. And I can add you to the chat. You'll be in this room as well. Or should we do the graveyard? This is where we take on the ghouls of the internet. The graveyard could probably be a little bit more apropos. But you let me know, chat. You let me know which of these two. I'm going to wait for the stream to catch up, because the stream's about 15 seconds. Has Gravel talked recently about what, Winston? You'd have to be more specific. Has he spoken the English language, do you mean? And probably. He does speak English from time to time. I'm still good with Bernie or Mum for BP. Yeah, I know. Obviously, I'm good for Bernie. I'm being a little bit facetious, But yeah, let me know, chat. You've now seen both of them. I'm watching the stream, so it's caught up. Yeah, this throwdown does have an ETA. They're in the same room. They're about to start. Here we go. Okay, dang, because I was going to brainstorm relevant videos to watch. I don't know if you'll be able to watch a full video in time. Yeah. The graveyard? All right, we'll stick with the graveyard. Graveyard it is. All right, let me add you, chat, because I know you want your voices heard. Browser source. YouTube chat. Let's get you in here. This is not going to be the King's Speech. You have a voice. I have a voice. There you are. And then I'm going to add some alerts in case people want to do... super chats. I will of course read all super chats. I am now doing this jobby full time, so if you have $1 to spare, I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll read out your super chats, do all that fun stuff. But don't worry, we'll have some premium content. Apparently it is starting right away. Where are those gentlemen? Where are my warriors? Wait, what happened? Did I close it? Would I have done such a thing?
DC to take back the White House! Yeah!
Oh, there it is. Okay, let's make it 10K. Why not? Everybody invite your friends. Commies rise up. Let's see if he tries to cloud chase. Yeah, I'll leave this open. As soon as it starts, it'll start. In the meantime, let's still have a little bit more information from...
Working in places like grocery stores, people who are...
Gus Johnson, what's your problem with Vaush? Nothing. Me and Vaush are on great terms. We talk to each other all the time. We even exchanged long protein strains. I think is the way we should be doing this, right? Exchange long protein strings, something of that nature. Yes. Oh, thanks for subscribing, Pecan Pancakes. Hopefully you have fun.
Garbage. People who can't just, work from home. People who are actually showing up in order to provide us with essential services that we need in order to survive.
Howard
and also
Dean
think
is
of
still
some
there.
of those people who are showing up at those jobs not because they want to actually, but because if they don't show up for work, they won't get paid. And until we get some kind of emergency economic relief, which we must do, they don't know how they would put food on their own tables. So a real important issue here is for us to know where there is love, there cannot be fear. Just like where there's light, there cannot be darkness. Darkness is not a thing, it's the absence of a thing. And fear is not a thing, it's the absence of a thing. You fill your mind with love and the fear automatically diminishes.
Oh, I love you,
so
Orb Mom.
Gratitude
Keep preaching.
And praise are
saying things.
Aspects of love. So just send love and gratitude. Really allow yourself to drop into those deeper places within yourself. And deeper places within yourself, by definition, are places where it's not just about you. That's the key. The key to emotionally getting through this experience is being there for other people who have to get through this experience and thinking of the other people who are involved here. So beginning with that, beginning with those ground troops, beginning with the doctors and the scientists and who are working all over this world so hard right now.
Orb Mom is Mummy, the one true.
And just feeling some gratitude in our hearts. Particularly for those of us who are American. We, a lot of times, take a lot of things for granted. And we're moving so fast. We become such an ADD culture. We're all moving. And sometimes when we're moving so fast, it's in order to avoid deep reflection. Because we have to face some pain sometimes, some discomfort when we have to reflect deeply. But there's a saying that every problem comes bearing its own solution. And one of the ways in which this problem comes bearing a solution is that it is forcing us, because it's forcing you to stay home. And it's forcing us to think more deeply. I was having earlier today some insight about relationships in my life, personal and professional, connecting them to some childhood issues, relationships with my parents. And I know that breakthrough, which was pretty big, pretty deep for me, was because I didn't have anything to do. Except to sit there and think during this particular time. We make it about like going to therapy. We're going to go for an hour on Thursday or whatever, or to a support group, and that's my hour to think deeply about my past or whatever. But this is about a change in lifestyle. We need a change in lifestyle that goes beyond 1 hour here or 1 hour there. Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, said that all of the problems of the world can be seen as stemming from mankind's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And then there's the Navy, that which is underneath the surface. That I think of as political leaders, systems analysts, the intellectual component of all this, recognizing what has happened politically that we got here. And some of that's not fun either. Recognizing we could have had testing begun in January, that those tests were available to us from the WHO and that our own leaders turned them down. The Navy is that.
Okay, chat. I'm going to quickly grab a soda. I'm assuming this debate is starting in the next 10 minutes. I don't know what they're doing. If they are, engaged in autoerotic asphyxiation, I can't say. That would be speculation. It would be spurious. So, give us 2 seconds. I'm going to grab a soda and we're going to start this debate, and it'll be fun. We'll have good times. It'll be great. And please engage in social distancing. Don't touch each other. Even in the chat, we have to do this for the good of humanity. Listen to Orb Mom. She is the mom that we deserve.
Inner work, the intellectual work, figuring out what the heck happened here. Why is it that we have so starved the beast of government agencies like the CDC, etc., that we would be left so vulnerable in this, the most powerful nation in the world, that we had so diminished our commitment to public investment in things that don't turn a short-term profit for anyone at any particular time, but that bolster our strength for just such moments as this. the economists who have to figure out what to do. As I speak to you, the Dow just plunged 3,000 points. This is a big, big deal. And you have 40% of all Americans already who can't afford a $400 unexpected expenditure. That day has come. So there are all these ideas, all these proposals about emergency UBI. Tulsi Gabbard has proposed a bill. Ro Khanna from California and Tim Ryan have proposed a bill. There are a few of them floating out there. All of us need to do our own research, read, go which ones are better. But we all need to accept the idea that we're going to have to give some immediate economic relief to people for whom this period is already a catastrophic possibility on an economic level. Economists, political leaders, systems analysts, that to me is our Navy. And then there's the Air Force. Those who pray, those who are spiritual practitioners, those who meditate. The power of meditation, the power of prayer, the power of spiritual practice. This is a perfect time to forgive people. You might think, how does my forgiving people have anything to do with the dealing with the coronavirus? More than you might think. There have already been profound and very scientifically established studies about the role of spirituality in bolstering the immune system. This is not just some crazy talk. This is not some silly talk. This is scientifically established. Your capacity now to meditate, your capacity now to pray, your capacity to be there for other people in love, communication, connection. All of these things affect our immune system and deepen our ability to move through this without fear and without panic. Fear and panic are not good for your immune system. There's information that we all need to know. There's no doubt about it. There's information that we perhaps need to read. There's information we perhaps need to watch on the news. But you can
Only
read
alpha
it,
males
you can
get
look
pegged.
at it, you can make sure that you are informed and not
Stay woke.
dwell on it. I was reading
They're
an
about to
article
start?
yesterday.
All right, let's see. What are you basing that on? People in chat saying about to start? I mean, if modern day debates say it's about to start, maybe. Oh, up next, Destiny vs. Vaush 3, Third Blood. That's me. I'm planning on making a BreadTube channel where I talk about Brazil. I'm making lefty art propaganda. Any tips? Absolutely. Well, you may notice in the background, I actually have some art. This was done, I bought this off a street artist. Oh shit, never mind. Silence for me.
This is a freestyle type of discussion or debate. In other words, it's really up to the speakers. Whatever they would most enjoy discussing, we're going to let them take the conversation wherever they would like to go, completely spontaneously. So, we want to let you know, though, if it's your first time here, consider hitting
How about that quality,
subscribe
y'all?
button, as
Spared
we've
no
got
expense.
A lot more debates coming up. For example, the famous or infamous flat earther Nathan Thompson will be on this Friday for a good old flat earth debate. But want to let you know, whether you be Republican, Democrat, Christian, atheist, and all the strange creatures in between, we really do hope you feel welcome here. As we are a nonpartisan platform, we have no views, we have no after shows critiquing or claiming one side had victory or loss or anything like that. So, do want to let you know a couple of quick house cleaning things up front. Is months ago, we had discussed with the debaters that both Vaush and Destiny said, hey, that sounds great. 100% of the super chats for this stream will be going to charity. Given that you have obviously heard, coronavirus is running rampant right now, and so what we are planning on doing is giving 100% of the super chats to a charity that is attempting to alleviate the suffering from the coronavirus right now. And so we'll be in touch with that, but do want to let you know, as Vaush and Steve and I talk about that afterwards, if you would like to see the receipt for that donation, just send me an email. That's something I'll send to Vaush and Destiny as well. But even if it's your first time here, feel free. We totally want to have that transparency that allows even a first-time person here to say, hey, can I see that receipt? I'd love to kind of know for sure that it's really going where you promised. We will definitely send it to you. And so with that, as I had mentioned, the format is very open. We're just going to let these guys have a good old conversation. If you have any questions for the Q&A at the end, please fire that question into the live chat. If you have a super chat, that allows you to make a comment toward one of the speakers that they'd of course get a chance to respond to. And then last, do want to let you know, if you do make a super chat or question, we just ask that you'd be your regular friendly self. So thanks so much. And gentlemen, we are thrilled to have you here. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. There we go. That should sound pretty good. Hey, nice to meet you. Finally in person. After years.
Yeah,
You look pretty much the same in person.
thanks. You do too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope we both look good in our cams.
Me too.
How's so
mad
so
awkward.
coronavirus? Obviously, we talked before the stream week because we've both been flying recently. This is all CGI. We're not actually next to each other. That would be violating CDC protocol. We've just been composited in from different sets across the state. But how do you feel, I guess more importantly, about the stock market, like red line go down? You've seen the memes, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very broad question. How do I feel about the stock market? How do I feel about its impacts on everyday Americans or on...
Well, broadly, because in the lefty sphere, a lot of people are really happy because the 2008 financial crisis sort of precipitated a bunch of really strong anti-establishment sentiment concerning, when the stock markets crash, why does wealth get consolidated with these people and everyone else gets left, out in the street? And a lot of people are excited, I think, for another sort of catalyzing incident. The accelerationist fervor has been kicked back up. And I assume you don't agree with that necessarily.
I mean, it didn't accelerate us towards much in 2008,
No.
so I don't expect it'll accelerate us towards too much right now. When it comes to lefties, I usually don't talk much about finance or the stock market because usually they're utterly clueless regarding most of it. For instance, the $1.5 trillion repo market thing that was going on with the Fed,
That's
most
good.
people think that's just stimulus.
The money printing.
So, yeah, I mean, most of it, those conversations are mind-numbingly stupid. I mean, insofar as like the stock market crashing now, I mean, like the ups and downs of the stock market, I don't think affect the average American that much. If you're older, retirement, it can be scary. If you are working and you're looking at your 401k, it can be scary.
I know my parents are scared right now, for example.
Yeah, the scary thing is going to be downstream of that, like if people start laying off workers or people aren't allowed to go into work, which is what's happening. I think that's the scarier thing for most Americans than, whether or not some numbers on the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones are going up and down. So like I just got an email like an hour ago. Apparently like the state of Ohio is like locking down like a lot of employment or whatever. And then around here in LA, we were just talking about getting food and a lot of places are closed.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't know how long the country can survive like locking off international travel.
This is unprecedented. I mean, this is like in 2 weeks, like this could end up being one of the most, this could end up being like Depression era, like relative, I think.
Maybe.
Maybe that's a little bit alarmist, but I think we're at least verging close with all the shutdowns, the economy, stock market freezes, biggest drop in the history of the...
Yeah, well, biggest drop, absolute numbers. I wish I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
Percentage-wise, I think.
Well, percentage-wise, so I'm pretty sure in the Great Depression, I want to say 25% of the world's GDP was wiped out. And I want to say that in 2007,
They're so friendly in person compared to the internet. It really shows you the difference,
billions of dollars are being lost, but like the whole world is far more industrialized, is far more established. The economies have a lot more power to them now than they used to be. More tenacity.
And the Dow's not the GDP, of course.
For sure. Yeah.
I know a lot of people personally. I'm sure you do as well. Who are like
How long until the guy in the middle starts
a lot of
checking
service workers are being laid off. People who work at restaurants, they can't come in. My brother's a chef. He's at home now. Like, what are you going to do? And there are a lot of people. Even Mitt Romney proposed this. The idea of like implementing a temporary UBI.
Yeah, cash infusion. Yeah.
For the first time, I'm not a huge Yang fan. I actually think that'd be a pretty decent idea here. Do you have any opinions?
I mean,
on
like
that?
the purpose of like that type of stimulus is to kind of like jump. It is basically you see an economic downturn coming, and you want to inject a little bit of cash into businesses or individuals to get the economy not getting quite as low. I don't see a problem with that.
A lot of people most Americans can't afford like $300 emergency or something like that.
Something like that without going into debt or something. Yeah.
If you can't work, rent, like for a lot of people, that's like, oh God, next month. Like I'm dead if I don't come up with something,
Sure, to be,
well, of course, there's a process to being
yeah,
evicted,
of course.
but it's still...
And also just for people listening, because a lot of people have this...
You're going to die.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have this idea that like if you fall behind on your mortgage, like banks want to foreclose. Banks don't want to foreclose on your shit. Landlords don't want to kick you out. Like typically, people just want to collect their rent checks and want to collect their mortgages. If you do fall behind on stuff like, especially right now, you're better off like calling whatever financial institution holds your note, or like your landlord and be like, hey, like I need like to work out something, whatever. Most people will work with you because the actual process of repossessing property or like going through evicting people,
Huge
like this is
payment, yeah,
months
yeah.
long of a process depending on which state you live in. Like finding like it's a disaster.
Of course, it all stacks up, though, right? I mean, then you have like the car payments, like daycare, for example.
Yeah, of
or-
course. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of Oh man, and actually, one of the worst things that a lot of people will miss is schools closing is absolutely catastrophic because
Because the kids are,
yeah, for a lot of people,
they're
school
gonna
is like
chew on all the
daycare.
wires, you know?
Yeah, like you don't have to watch your kid for 8 hours, but now you finding somebody to watch your kid is going to be, if even possible, is going to be scary or more financially difficult. And then if you were able to work, but you can't find someone to watch your kid, now you can't work, you got to stay home with your kid. Schools are trying to like go out and deliver lunches because a lot of kids, for instance, only get fed at school, public
Yeah.
lunching like helps them. And I know like a lot of schools are in the process of like trying to like bust out food to some of these children. Like there's a lot of society grinding to a halt.
The mortality rate for children who catch corona is very, very low. We could send them out as little baby carriers, doing the deliveries, picking up supplies from the store. They can fill in the gaps that the older workforce isn't capable of.
Is that what socialism needs?
That's
Child
what's-
labor to
Are
bring
you?
it back?
Hey, listen. There's child labor and then there's child work. Okay,
Okay,
work.
gotcha.
We're all here. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we have to get to that eventually, though, right?
Child labor under socialism? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here to propose.
Okay.
No, the times of crisis usually sort of incite revolutionary fervor, and more so than ever, I think a lot of people are really questioning whether or not the system is capable of handling itself. Obviously, it couldn't handle corona, but more broadly, if it can handle the amount of responsibility that's been placed with. And I feel like you're not that receptive to, if not socialism itself, then socialist ideas that can be implemented to.
I love ideas.
I love ideas too.
I love policies.
Well, I got one for you.
Uh-huh.
I know we talked about it before. I don't know if it's hip and happening anymore, but worker cooperatives. I know I've tried to sell you on these before. Done a lot more research since we last talked. I do hate reading, of course, functionally illiterate, but I did my best.
To be clear, you don't have to sell me on worker co-ops. If worker co-ops work, I love worker co-ops.
Okay, well then that's great, because I know you have a fairly non-ideological approach.
I think he's going to talk
implementation
about
of
Italy
policy,
this
if there
time.
is such
Hopefully,
a
there's an
thing,
entire
But
city in Italy.
do you not
3 million
feel-
people who use worker
I mean,
cooperatives. Well, 1/3 of them do.
We're on a precipice of like 8 catastrophes at once right now. Corona's one. I mean, climate change is obviously the worst of them. And I feel like it's at times like these we need to be considering things that are outside the realm of sort of conventional discourse. Nobody right now in this country is seriously talking about like challenging the wealth or the accumulation of power, except for maybe Bernie Sanders, and he's not going to win, it seems. So we kind of have to carry the torch there, and if we can't do it through a presidential election, then we have to find other ways. And I don't know how amicable you are to, because I see you criticize that fervor a lot online. People
Because
like
the
Kyle
thing is that,
Kalinske or
like,
Hassan, they're
yeah,
like,
you can feel passionately about something, but at the end of the day, like we need an idea. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I hear people talk about all the
Oh,
time
no
they wanna
worries,
close the
Rameses, thank
tax
you.
loopholes. Well, what type of tax loopholes do you want to close? If I buy a van for my business, should I not be allowed to write that off? Should I not be able to carry forward losses into the next year like Amazon does? Like, people always have all these great ideas, like, oh, we need to close the tax loopholes. Which ones? Or, oh, we need to make it so that, I don't know, raise like corporate tax rates, or like it's always just like very vague stuff, and it doesn't really target anything.
But nuance never carries a revolution. I mean, you can specify the details in Congress or whatever, but if you're trying to get people active, you can never say, if you look through, CD page 147, Codex 74, you see specifically this needs to be removed. Nobody gets energized by that. It's these big, passionate, not necessarily illogical, but these driven, acts of rhetoric, I think, that really inspire change. And that, I think, and one of the problems I have with you, I think, is you're very policy focused. This is called like policy wonk, I think, derivatively, or sorry.
Sure.
What's the, it starts with a D?
Derision?
Yes, that. Okay. With some derision from the left, because these are people who are very, obsessed with the intricacies of policy. I think Nate Silver gets this badge placed on him a lot. But a lot of the really, strong positive change that's been made in this country historically hasn't been built on the basis of sort of the calm proposal of specific changes to a complicated set of laws. It's been about very angry people forcing themselves onto the system until the system buckles and eventually has to kowtow. Suffrage, civil rights movement, and if we tell these people like, hey man, what policies exactly are you looking to remove?
And this is kind of like one of my big
Well, thanks,
criticisms
Walker
of
told me.
democracy.
I'll answer
I
in
hate that.
the next
So like,
Okay.
my problem is that like suffrage
And Vaush is the lefty.
slavery
Vaush is far
pretty
left.
Easy, like
He's an anarcho-syndicalist.
Problems and solutions. Women should probably be able to vote. Black people should probably have all the rights afforded to them as white people. When we talk about like the financial structure of the United States and like what is an appropriate form of taxation, how do we do all of these stuff? These are really, really hard questions. I'm all in favor of like riling people up and getting them, because I agree, because like sitting here and talking about like, oh, well, we need $4.7 trillion to fund the Medicaid expansion, blah, blah, that's really boring, sure. I guess what I'm uncomfortable with when it comes to the left a lot is like the demonization of wealthy people. And that's something that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. One, because it's kind of silly. Like if you were to rob the wealth of every single billionaire in this country, you fund the government for like, I think a couple weeks. So it's not even like they necessarily have that wealth unilaterally to just like carry everything. And then two, this obsession with like hating certain groups of people in order to build a movement, like I'm against that like in all areas of my life. You know, whether it's people that play PC games shitting on people that play PS4 games, or whether it's on, you know, like people that, you know, like a certain sport shitting on other people like a certain sport, or for politics, you know, whether it's like, well, we, you know, I hate billionaires, you know, all these billionaires need to go, and it's like, okay, well, like, where does that get us at the end of the day? Like, let's talk about the programs we want to fund, let's talk about what we have to do, and then if, you know, if we have to like tax the fuck out of some billionaires to get there,
He's a
yeah,
libertarian
let's do it.
socialist.
That's great. I'm
Okay.
with that.
I love him, but he mislabels himself.
I want to
all the
address
time. Fair
that, but
enough.
first I want to respond to something you said earlier about the
You think it's okay for PC gamers to shit on? Oh, sorry.
A policy I didn't move in on until, by the way, I got my recent computer. Oh boy, let me tell you, an upgrade. Lots of nice games. Doom Eternal coming out. Okay, wasn't paid for that. But with regards to what you said earlier, I think now sort of with the rose-tinted goggles of history, we're actually painting over so many of the complexities that surrounded issues like suffrage or abolition back in those days. Obviously, from a moral perspective, like what we have today, it's a fairly obvious answer, you know. But back then, the question surrounded like, well, what do we do with the former slaves? We still believe they're genetically inferior. We just don't think they should be enslaved. Should there be like legal provisions made to prevent them from being able to? What about miscegenation? Should we be allowing? And there were a lot of, and at the time, very nuanced arguments going back and forth between abolitionists and non-abolitionists. And at the end of the day, it took, you know, gunpowder and iron to end up resolving the difference. Likewise with suffrage, and likewise with the civil rights movement. In hindsight, these feel like, I suppose, fairly obvious moral answers, but I feel like one day, maybe 1,000 years in the future, if everything goes right, we can look back in this and think like, maybe a system that politically and economically privileges an incredibly small group of people with a different set of class interests from the rest of the people wasn't the best way to ensure maximum happiness for everyone. And that might be simple to them, and they'll be dealing with ghost and robot sex or something. That'll be their moral
and I'm not
dilemma.
even saying that like the concentration of wealth in the hands of the few at the expense of the many that's not a good thing. I would hope that nobody agrees with that. Even the people that pretend to agree with that only trick themselves into thinking the lower class is doing better than maybe they actually are. But like when I say that these issues are relatively simple, maybe it feels like I'm painting a little bit too generously the past, saying that like, oh, well, like how do you count African slaves as voters, for instance, or yeah, if we think they're genetically inferior, blah, blah, blah. But like, I guess it's like the difference between something like Jim Crow, you know, like these are policies on the books, you know, written like, if you go to a bank, you're black, you don't get a loan. You know, like it's very, excuse the pun, black and white, right? Very, very, very obvious, right? Whereas like if we were to talk about like systemic or structural racism, I think we can all agree racism equal bad, but like addressing that is like so much more multifaceted than, you know, like looking at actual laws written on the books and getting rid of them. That's all I'm saying, I guess. It reminds me of kind of like
policing, like how judges act, like discriminate sentencing.
Sure.
It's incredible. Well, but it's incredibly. No, I completely agree. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that's what the Republican types will always say. You know, find me a racist law in the books. Mm-hmm. Well, if only it were so easy. You know?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, I guess it reminds me a lot of, like, Brexit, for instance. Like, should the UK leave the European Union? That's a pretty easy yes or no, but what does that actually look like? And people found, well, holy shit, that's actually way more complicated than I thought it was going to be. There's so much more going on. And Cameron and everybody was, like, bounced out of there, and they're like, all right, good luck, figure it out. It feels like because things are so globalized today, because things are so interconnected today, I think especially in the United States, something that a lot of younger people, me included, don't realize is politics in the U.S. used to be incredibly localized. Like the political things that you cared about was your union, your parish, and your neighborhood, and like your city. And that was like your political focus. And these days, everything is ultra fucking globalized. You feel very disconnected from everything that's going on. Like your one vote in a bucket of 300 million or whatever. I don't know what the voting population of the U.S. is. Like so much has changed that it feels like there are certain problems that are going to be very, very hard to deal with our current system.
Leaning towards confederation, 50 separate states, duke it out anytime there were border disputes.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that
Hey,
that.
I love local politics. Don't get me wrong. Seattle got a pretty vibrant local political scene. They've recently resisted like Amazon's incursion into the city, which, obviously technicalities aside, we're very happy about. And I think that from an alienation level, people tend to be happier when they can directly relate to the effects of policy.
Yeah, you show up at a town hall meeting, you're talking about
There
stuff
you
that's
see
passing
the-
like your neighborhood, and there's
There's
your
not there.
officials that are writing or voting on the legislation. Feels a lot better than just watching it on CNN or Fox News.
You can
or whatever.
throw a shoe at them. You might get a night in the slammer. If you try to show through the president, it's much harder.
Sure.
I respect the nuance of many of these discussions.
As someone who
try-
loves comedy, they need to stop
I've
with
an
all the-
audience now too,
the
and I try to
jokes
be
and
responsible.
just get to the
I
meat.
think, because I do agree sometimes the revolutionary fervor moves in a direction that I don't think is sustainable. Like for example, you said like hating billionaires and stuff. Now, I'll be candid with my personal beliefs. I do generally believe that most of the extremely wealthy people in this country and most of the higher level politicians are disgusting sociopaths. I do believe that. But I do agree with you in that the formation of political movements on spite is incredibly destructive. This is one of the reasons why there have been so many co-opted left-leaning revolutions over the past century that ended up turning into, like a kill a third of the population, everyone with glasses, with Pol Pot, for example. Now, that's not exactly an enviable or replicable example, but I do think that turning spite into a political force is dangerous. But at the same time, what do you do if the politics of a system are so entrenched that it is not possible to move within that system through sort of the grounds of civil policy discussion and address it? Certainly not in time. I mean, we were up against the wall with climate change a while ago, and what's been done to challenge the power that coal and oil lobbies have over government? I mean, with Citizens United, it's gotten worse, if anything.
I don't know if my views on this have changed so much over time. I don't know if I buy, when it comes to climate change, I don't know if people are actually really ready to do something about it. Because I don't know if the solution to climate change is legislation in Congress so much as all of us have to collectively come together and start to make sacrifices to do it. And I don't know if the average person is on board with that. This might be something where we split. This is an argument I get into with a lot of people that say co-ops
So,
climate change.
give
because,
up.
the oil workers could
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
I know that argument.
But I don't know if that's actually true. If there are people that enjoy working, the problem with climate change is twofold. One is that the damaging effects happen over a long period of time, which intrinsically we're not wired to deal with very well. We have to learn how to deal with delayed gratification. That's one. And then two, the effects of climate change aren't localized. So I can drive my car around a pool I want, but it's not like those fumes are in my house at the end of the night. More or less the air here, doesn't smell like horribly smoggy and polluted. Maybe somebody from New Zealand or somebody will contest that. But I don't think it smells like I'm in a garage or whatever. And neither of these two things are, those two huge drawbacks really hamper our ability to do anything about climate change. I don't think socialists could deal with it any better than capitalists could, any better than a green movement could. It's just really hard to get people really riled up until you literally have countries, on fire and falling apart.
Right. And even then, Australia, still the prime minister wasn't willing to, we get forest fires all the time.
Yeah.
Or brush fires, sorry.
Yeah, brush, yeah.
Yeah.
Brush fires.
The
brush.
hell state, by the way, or hell country, Australia, 98 degrees, just year-round, perpetually. I can't imagine living over there right now. My God. That these people contend with their politicians is a miracle to me. I worry, though, that you're naturalizing how slovenly, how disinterested the population is. It's been the argument of people like academics like Noam Chomsky, I know I bring him up a lot, but in his work, Manufacturing Consent, it's this big sort of thesis on the many ways in which the power structures in our society move people's opinions within sort of like herding cattle into an acceptable range. And I do feel as though the alienation people experience, or the distance people feel from their voting consequences, I know you've complained about that before, where people just cast a vote and they don't even think, especially with foreign policy or environmental issues. I think that many of these sort of negative components to our democracy are a product of deliberate, or if not deliberate, at the very least manufactured efforts on the part of people who control our society. The news has always been biased.
Oh,
I don't
Uber
think
Comrade, thanks for the super chat. I'll read it
this
after.
Bad, for example. The extent to which our opinions can be molded, I now with like ads that track everything you look online, and they can specifically move you into certain demographics to maximize how much they can sell to you. It worries me because democracy functions fundamentally in the assumption that people are generally speaking aware of what's going on. Yeah, but capitalism, in some ways, I think, that can be addressed, not all of them, but in some ways, pollutes that flow of information for a profit motive. Sometimes maliciously, like when the oil companies will like lie about this spill or this impact, and sometimes just as a natural consequence of the way information and media moves.
So we can talk for hours about, I guess, like the extent to which media influences people versus people influence media. To bring it back to like an effective political area, one thing that I would like to see, like I'll say the progressive movement in the United States do, so this isn't like the revolutionaries, but like the people that are still pretty far left. The two things that I would like to see is, one, pick like a couple issues and like go hard on that. I feel like having somebody like Bernie Sanders who wants to do nationwide rent control, Medicare
Modern day
for all,
debates. If you have super chats, come to our
federal
live
jobs
stream. Is
guarantee.
100%
Like,
super
when you're
chats from the
trying
Vaush
to do
Destiny chat.
every
We'll go to
single
charity
thing,
today.
I feel like maybe
Fair
what we'd do
enough.
better,
I didn't know
I'm
this
gonna
was a
say
charity
this
stream.
horrible compromise.
Can I
like a couple
do
of things, and then just like your stake in the ground is like Medicare for all.
Raids?
That's a deal break. This has to be it. That's it. This is the one thing that we're pushing hard on everything else. You want to keep guns? Okay, fine, whatever. You want to keep Hispanic people from immigrating here? Okay, fine, whatever. But Medicare for all, that's the thing we're going to do, God damn it. That one thing.
I'll give them guns.
Sure. Focusing in on like one or two strong political positions and like really driving that, I feel like would be more successful than the overall.
All right, everyone. They apparently are doing a fundraiser. I didn't know that on the other end. I don't want to pull anything away from their fundraiser. If you want, everybody, go watch the stream on this side. Oops, let me find the link. Hold on. And I will, I'll jump back on the Twitch afterwards, but I'll join them in that chat, all right? Okay, I will see y'all on the other side.